Our first action, reporting out statement by a vote of 4-0. The board took action to dismiss a public employee special education paraeducator per Government Code 54957.1A5, effective 3 March 2021. The yeas were Larry Tanksley, James Bender, Dwayne Moore, and Robert Vincelette, with 1 absent, Mario Gutierrez. Our second agenda item for reporting out statement was in closed session. The board took action to issue a notice of pursuant to Education Code Section 44929.21. Employees identified by employee number 2616, 3148, 2412, 2908, 3201, 3215, 3152, and 3212 shall be given notice that he or she is not reelected for the 21-22 school year effective at the end of the 2021 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. The vote was as follows. The yeas were Larry Tanksley, James Bender, Robert Vincelette, and Dwayne Moore, with 1 absent, Mario Gutierrez. And that was all the items from closed session. The recording of this meeting is being made, shall be kept for 30 days as public record. Pledge of Allegiance led by myself. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, members present. Myself present, Mario Gutierrez absent, Jim Bender, Dwayne Moore, here. Robert Vincelette, here, and student member Michaela Gaddis, absent. Item C, approve agenda. This is an action item. Should I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. Moore, second. Vincelette, correct? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 1 absent, 4 yeas. Reports and communications. Item A, Cadet Corps presentation. Wallace, it's yours. The floor is yours, my man.
So good evening, Ms. Gaines, Major Tanksley, and board members. Thank you for giving us time tonight. We really appreciate it. The California Cadet Corps motto is Essayons, meaning let us try. And our cadets demonstrate this motto in real life, as you will hear about tonight. So, Executive Officer, go ahead and take the floor.
Hello, good evening. The vision of Cadet Corps is to transform students into tomorrow's builders and community builders. With virtual class and training, we are doing more training events than ever before. Many of our cadets have been promoted and received awards, even though this is not easy. We will not stop trying. OCS is known as Officer Candidate Course. This is a chance for sergeants and staff sergeants to be able to promote to second lieutenant. I was recently a part of OCS. OCS, you have to do a PTA, a board promotion, and a test. This test took me 5 times to pass. I am academically a 4.0 student and I take college classes. And to see a failing test is very hard for me to achieve and to accept. Captain Torres was very kind enough to push me and to continue. It took 5 times, but failure is inevitable, and I have to accept that failure is I have to get used to. Even if it's just a test, it's kind of hard for me to see it. I'll hand it over to First Lieutenant Aubrey Gomez.
Good evening, I'm Cadet First Lieutenant Gomez, and our core values are selfless service, integrity, and respect. It works because cadets take care of each other. We check on our cadets each day and help them. For example, freshman squad leader Cadet Heredia was asked about a missing cadet and she immediately took responsibility. She checked in on that cadet not only because it's her duty, but because she cares. Half of our cadets receive a scholar ribbon for teaching semester. Cadet Corporal Hufford also leads our Special Olympics team at RHS and also mentor the team members. My bad. I'm going to hand it over to Cadet Second.
Good evening, everyone. I am Second Lieutenant Luna, and I am the S3 for the battalion. The mission of Cadet Corps is to create outstanding leadership development opportunities for students. We have seen that happen this year with many Cadet Corps events like the food drive that collected 452 pounds of food. We also did veteran gift bags, and we are helping TMS, which we are so excited and honored to do. We have the bivouac and the annual general inspection. This weekend, some of our cadets will complete the basic leadership school for the first time. This summer, we will attend summer encampment at Camp San Luis Obispo, which is the Super Bowl of Cadet Corps. Now I'm going to hand it off to First Lieutenant Gomez again.
You know who I am. Cadet Brian Shaw said, sometimes the problem becomes the solution. General Ford started Cadet Corps in 1911, just before World War I and the flu pandemic. 108 years later, this amazing program started in our little town of Rosamond in the year 2019. Many of us cadets were part of the great oh my gosh, I keep stuttering. AFJROTC program led by Major Tanksley has started up here today because of the strong foundation that they laid. My fellow cadets and I have fought for AFJROTC, and when that ended, we continued to fight for Cadet Corps. We faced many changes and challenges and overcame them all. Despite the challenges of fighting, now we are seeing more cadets become leaders and part of our family. As we were planning for our bivouac, I want to share the story of our younger sister's battle with leukemia. We decided one of our bivouacs would be to reach out to her family and others like them. So we're here tonight to tell you that it's a fight to never get up. Give times get. I'm going to hand it off to Cadet Captain Torres now.
Thank you, ma'am. So this year has been challenging for all of us. There have been many times where we could have given up. It's so easy to give up, but it's so hard to continue to keep pushing yourself to do better. In the fall, I'll tell you a little story. In the fall, I was in a terrible car accident where the paramedics said that I should have died. I was going to go pick up a cadet to take him to training because I didn't have a ride there. So being battalion commander, I stepped up to try to help. But, I was in that car accident. I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. I was bedside. It was very emotional and everything, but with the cadets and with Captain Wallace and my parents and my family. But mainly Cadet Corps was able to help me give back to myself. A couple of weeks ago, I was promoted to cadet captain. The reason being was to set the example for my cadets to not give up. We know many students are struggling, and we are doing our best to encourage and motivate them. We want to thank you for giving us this opportunity and supporting us all through it all. Our vision is to grow Cadet Corps at RHS, Tropical Middle School, alternative education, elementary schools, and the community schools, because Cadet Corps works. Now we have a short video to show you.
Hold on just a second. Let me make sure the sound is on. 2 years ago, Cadet Corps found its way to Rosamond. There were many challenges and changes along the way, but the cadets stood strong and carried on the great traditions of Essayons, Let Us Try. There were many highlights the first year, including outstanding leaders from Air Force, JROTC, and new cadets who were highly motivated. Right away, we participated in Extreme Team Challenge and bivouac training and realized how great Cadet Corps could be. We honored veterans including Rosamond's own Lance Corporal Joseph Lopez Pratty and Omar Salazar. Cadets stood all day in the cold and rain to honor the heroes buried at Bakersfield National Cemetery. Another highlight was when we would run up Joey's Hill, even though some cadets did not make it. By the end of the school year, they did, because they took care of each other and motivated each other. When COVID came, it was like the air was taken out of our sails. But cadets continue to train virtually with many opportunities, including the first ever virtual officer candidate school. We took the flags down on the last day of school and raised them up on the first day. We stood in honor of Miss Jennifer Music, Army veteran and TMS teacher. We collected food for the hungry and brought gift bags to isolated veterans. We are not slowing down. In fact, we are gaining speed. This is our busiest month ever with leading the brigade bivouac and annual general inspection. The fact is, we know students are doing their best to stay motivated, but it is not easy. We have a 110-year tradition of service and sacrifice. Even though the challenges are great, we know we will reach our goals. Because Cadet Corps works. Essayons, let us try. Thank you, ma'am, and school board for allowing us to be here tonight. And these cadet leaders just give you barely a glimpse of what's been happening, and it's incredible what they're doing and the achievements they're reaching. But I have to say that, as you all know, it's not easy. There's a lot of challenges, as they said, and I'll just tell you a couple of things as we finish. Is Matthew Torres told you about that accident he was in. He was supposed to get promoted last fall, but because of the accident, he couldn't do that. So I encouraged him to go ahead and pursue that promotion, and I got to be part of that promotion board or sit on it, and it was amazing to watch, and just the emotions of a young man that has overcome such a tremendous obstacle to reach this achievement, and I just thank you for all your support. Thank you for allowing us to be part of the school district here at the high school and at Tropico. We're excited about things that are happening, and we appreciate your support. Do you have any questions for us or the cadets?
I can say you guys always impress. You guys are always coming through, always performing and showing the community what it really means to be a true leader. Important message by one of your cadets: persistence pays off. All right, 5 times, kept at it, didn't give up. Okay, Torres, congratulations. Didn't I tell you before you offend me with that flag behind you?
Yes, sir.
You could always put a Cardinals ones up. I'll buy you one. Okay.
That's a good one. Keep that one up there. That's the best there.
I know you guys went out and helped with cross country. Thanks for doing that, and keep doing what you're doing. You guys make us all proud each and every day when you're out there. We see Mr. Wallace out there doing the flags, with cadets, and we really appreciate everything you do. And like I said, you're true leaders in the community, and we need that. The community needs leaders, and you guys are the future. You're the current, and you're the now. Okay. So thanks. Anybody else got anything for?
Cadets, I just want to tell you one thing. Keep up the good work you guys always do. As ASB president, I had my business meetings on Tuesdays, and I remember sometimes I would have to stop talking and keep it down a minute because you guys were outside, what do you call it, Tanksley? Saluting or formations, yelling, practicing, and it always looks good, sounded amazing. One time I walked in the room, you guys all stood up, saluted it. Just keep up the hard work and keep doing great. Thank you.
The only comment I'd like to make, Charlie, thanks for taking this over and working with it. Mr. Wallace, it's great to see you, sir, because I haven't seen Charlie in a long time. But guys, you got a good leader there. And gals.
I just want to say thanks, guys. In this time that our community's in, it's nice to see you guys shining and getting out there and encouraging people and pressing forward no matter what you're facing. We're facing a lot of difficult times, and you guys are showing that you can be successful. And we thank you again for being a part of this program in our community. God bless you guys.
And Mr. Riley, quit making us hungry. We see you. Thanks. Yeah, Superintendent has something to say as well.
Captain Wallace, I just want to say, I hope I got that right, Captain Wallace. Every time I see a presentation from the Cadet Corps, I'm just so impressed with these young people and their dedication to the program. And I was surprised a little bit that they one of their service projects was Reese Across America. I happen to have worked with Reese Across America as a service project probably for, 10 years or so. So this December, end of November, when we address that project again, hopefully the Corps will want to go back and participate in that. Please let me do some little something to help them, because I'm absolutely amazed that they took that upon themselves to do that. And I just want to say to all of the cadets, I'm just overwhelmed with how great leaders you are becoming. And to Captain Torres, I love the fact that you just hung right in there, and there you are, Captain, today. And it just gives me such pride, such great pride. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And again, we want to thank all of you, because we know what you're doing is not easy, and the pressure and decisions you're making. I also want to thank our school administration, Ms. Akinini, Mr. Shevlin, and my department leader, Mr. Riley, is here tonight, and he's always supportive. One of the things I'll just mention to you, Mr. Riley, and we're working on, hopefully we would like to put up a veterans wall for all of our community veterans to honor them. So he's working with us. We're working with Mr. Eisensimmer and Miss Gaines. I have to tell you really quick that Reese Across America was one of those defining moments. It was a bad day. It was freezing cold. It was raining. We left at 5:30 in the morning, and I thought I was going to get fired. But those cadets, I kept telling them, hey, you guys go get warm, go get some hot chocolate. And they would not stop. They stood there for pretty much 8 hours, directing traffic, parking cars. I've never seen anything like it, but I've seen more like that since then, especially with COVID. And again, we know it's not easy, and we appreciate that. Just let us know how we can help and support what you're trying to do for our community and students and staff and families.
Thank you, Captain Wallace.
All right, have a great day. Thank you. Thank you, cadets.
Next up, under communications, any communications from our student board member? Ms. Sally?
No.
All right. Next up, Mr. Plum, an RTA report.
I'm here. No, thank you. And what a great presentation that was, showing that even in these difficult and challenging times of distance learning, there's lots of great education still going on. Good evening, Mrs. Gaines, Mrs. Hargis, members of the board, and other visitors. First of all, I want to thank the Kern County Health Department and local health organizations for providing vaccinations to the elderly and at-risk adults in Rosamond, and also the education employees of Kern County. You are helping us find the path to teaching students safely in our district. I'm happy to say I've had my first shot and will receive the second on March 19th. We need all school employees to have a chance for a full vaccination. Kern County, you are totally outshining LA County. Way to go. Thank you. Item 5F on your agenda is under discussion for tonight. This is the return of school for in-person instruction for grades TK through 5 under the ABD-AB model beginning the first day of the fourth quarter, March 22nd. This is a critical decision for the superintendent, the board, teachers and staff, parents and students. I ask you tonight, do not make this decision lightly. Either way decided, there are far-reaching implications for the direction in which we move forward. I want to focus tonight on comments read at the last board meeting. I feel strongly that there needs to be a correction and a clarification that it is the teachers' union that does not want students back in class and is trying to block this from happening. Those of you that believe this could not be more wrong. I've been listening to teachers for the past year, as has Mrs. Gaines and the members of the board. If you have seen the recent advertisements from the California Teachers Association, the message is clear. Teachers and parents want students back in the classroom, but only when it is safe. I've been president of the Rosamond Teachers Association for 25 years. I have never conducted our business as a labor union. We are a professional association of teachers and counselors. We have always strived to be a collaborative partner with the board and the district administration in running the district in the best ways possible for the benefit of student education. If the district is financially healthy and the teachers are a part of the decision-making process, student education will be successful. The Rosamond Teachers Association is not a union. We are the legally recognized representative for the teachers and counselors in our district. RTA has not tried to stop in-person instruction. RTA has tried to ensure it will be done safely. Back in November, RTA presented a proposal for an addendum to our current Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, that would cover the working conditions of in-person instruction. In December, at RTA's request, we had a negotiation meeting to discuss the proposal. In January, RTA communicated that we needed to continue discussions of the MOU. In February, RTA arranged for a negotiations meeting. Once the next meeting was finally scheduled, RTA received a response from the district's legal representative 30 minutes before our scheduled meeting, with 80% of our proposal crossed off. Don't tell me the union has tried to block progress toward a return of students. RTA has been trying to move forward. The district has developed a 28-page COVID protection plan that is the guideline for students being on campus. It is referred to as the CPP. I commend Mrs. Gaines in the time and effort in creating and improving this plan. There is extensive information in the document. Not only do I appreciate the work Mrs. Gaines has put into the plan, I thank her for accepting from RTA on ways to improve and clarify the language. As I said before, RTA works in collaboration with the district. As board members, have you carefully read the 28-page document? As parents, have you seen the document? Does everybody fully understand the guidelines that must be adhered to for students to be on campus? Do you know what the in-person blended model will be? Understand, elementary students will receive fewer contacts per week with their teachers than currently under distance learning. Is this a better model? My biggest concerns with the CPP is communication, implementation, and enforcement. In education, we see programs put into place all the time, only for them to be forgotten and they fall by the wayside. That cannot happen with this protection plan. Should I be the COVID police on campus? I see violations all the time without students present. Just today, I walked through the staff lounge as an employee leaves the bathroom without a mask on or a mask in sight. I should not have to report the employee or an administrator or student for not following the rules. But this is the situation in which we will be faced as staff and students return to in-person instruction. Please listen carefully. I have not said I'm against the board's or the district's intent. I have not said the union is against the return of in-person instruction. I have pointed out some concerns. There are dozens more being expressed to me by my membership. You need to enter into this next chapter with your eyes wide open. You also need to make the decision with the understanding Kern County has one of the highest infection rates in the state, and Rosamond has one of the highest infection rates in Kern County. I have many teachers that support the return of students for in-person instruction. I have many teachers that believe it is best for students to keep it is best for us to keep our program consistent and finish with distance learning. My job is to negotiate the working conditions for my unit members so the working conditions are safe for everyone and that they are consistent and reasonable. The governor and the state have offered a financial incentive package for returning elementary students to our campuses. My information shows Southern Kern will qualify for up to $2.6 million in incentives. That's great, but this should not be about financial incentives. It should be about the safety of students and staff. Now, the principals at the elementary sites have sent out surveys and communications about the imminent return of in-person instruction. The surveys provided inadequate information to parents to make an important decision. Do elementary parents fully understand the ABD-AB model? Do they know their students will be in class 2 days a week and will have independent asynchronous work the other 2 or 3 days per week? Right now, most elementary students meet with their teachers 5 days a week. This will change. For good or bad, that is all we can do within the state guidelines for social distancing. Also, parents need to be fully informed that if they choose distance learning for the remainder of the year, they are making a commitment to this choice. Students should not be moving to and from in-person and distance learning. Haphazard surveys sent out by the elementary principals at each site should not have occurred. The district should have put out a complete, well-thought-out survey that was clear and consistent. We need firm numbers for in-person and distance learning students, so I can work with the district on placement of students and teachers into every class. The district will choose how we proceed within the guidelines of state legislation along with CDE and CDC guidelines. RTA will continue to negotiate the working conditions for teachers and counselors. It is up to the board and the superintendent to decide if this is the path that is best for our students and staff. Sorry about the length of my presentation, but this is such a critical step forward. Thank you very much for your time, attention, and consideration.
CSE report, we do have one. Trustee Moore will read that.
On March 8th is going to mark the day that Superintendent Gaines wants all classified employees to start returning to campus. This is 2 weeks before the attempt to reopen schools, the perfect time for COVID to spread and incubate within our staff members. Superintendent Gaines wants all paraeducators to return to work while they work with students purely on Zoom. They should still be able to continue working from home until students are on campus. Superintendent Gaines wants to pull back all employees, forcing us to risk cross-contamination and congregation, putting us all in higher potential risk. We have only had the opportunity very recently to get our first dose of the vaccine. This is information from the CDC. With most COVID-19 vaccines, you will need 2 shots in order for them to work. It takes time for your body to build protection after any vaccination. COVID-19 vaccines that require 2 shots may not protect you until a week or 2 after your second dose. Here I thought Superintendent Gaines was looking out for the best of our well-being. Here I thought she had the health and wellness of our employees and their families in mind. This shows that was not true. There was no discussion with CSEA leadership about this mass return to work. We were blindsided and our employees still have many questions and concerns. Superintendent Gaines' directive was not detailed and still raises questions among us. This is bad policy, bad communication, and bad directive. There is no equity as most teachers are only required to be on site for 2 days each week. Classified are still treated like second-class citizens, but the majority of us have been running your school sites since the start of this pandemic. Our food service is still working daily, keeping our community fed. In early 2020, the district denied any type of extra compensation for food service, no hazard pay. Now we see more and more people getting hero pay in California, but our district has shown no interest in attempting to show their appreciation for our lowest paid employees who have been at the highest risk this whole time. Food service is interacting with community members, they are working within cramped conditions, and they are never given the respect or appreciation they deserve, even being told that they do not get to take breaks for their work shifts. Having less staff on campus will only increase the work custodial needs to do every day on top of all the preparation needed to get the school sites ready for March 22nd. Administrators have been lax in complying and keeping SKOC employees adhering to guidelines. We are making classified staff return to work sites before it is necessary, intentionally placing them at a higher risk for little to no reason. With no students on campus, why are all staff mandated back? With no real safety plan provided to our members, how are they expected to feel comfortable with this change? Is there any plan to renew CPI training because many certificates have expired? Have we recently done any dry runs for students returning? Have school sites truly prepared? Have they informed their staff of their plans? Is the district really more interested in getting money from California over our own staff health and safety? Classified are ready to return to work when safe. Recently polled, 60% of our members said they did not feel safe returning to work at this time. Again, vaccines have just rolled out. New strains are still on the rise of our families at home, have not received a vaccine, and we still don't have a true plan in place with much follow-through for a safe reopening, yet here we are. Thanks, Gary Jones. I have a question, and I want an answer. Why on your calendar do you return to work 2 to 3 days before students return to work from summer break? Someone can give me an answer. I think you have a boss and you do what you're told, in my opinion. I don't know. So,
Mr. Jones, thank you for your comments. And Mr. Coleman as well. We're taking everything into consideration, trust me, to make the best call that we can with the information that we have and with everybody's interest in mind. Next is CBO report, Mr. Irving.
All right. In preparation for students returning and in-person instruction, there we go, that's the words. I've had meetings with transportation and food service to figure out logistically with transportation and food service, with community feeding, that, if we still have students distance, to make sure that we still have coverage in the community for food service, then also at the site, and as far as, with busing students on the site, but, we have drivers that aren't supposed to be in the same place, or 2 places at once. So we're getting that hammered out, and more, once we get more information on who specifically on the AV schedule comes to light, we'll be able to put more of that together.
Are we expecting shortages at this point?
No,
taking into account that we're also going to have sports that needs to travel and everything else.
Not at this time. There might be changes to schedules that, just throwing out as an example, Hummel Hall, not Hummel Hall. Specifically, there might be a change in times of when the community feeding can happen, just so that we're not having staff dedicated in 2 separate places simultaneously. Okay. So there's some wrinkles that'll need to be ironed out still for that, but we're looking at that to make sure that before we get there that we have a laid out information out to the community so they are aware. And then, you all have copies of the audit report. I've reached out to Jeanette Garcia, our auditor, to find out when she'd be able to do a formal presentation on it. So when I have more info on that, I'll be able to pass that on, which will happen at the next board meeting. But figured we'd give you guys the report a little bit ahead of time, that way you have time to look at it, and if you have any questions for her, we're not dropping the report and also her presentation simultaneously. Looking at a request I got for developer fees back in January, I couldn't find a completed report that had been done. So reaching back out to the company that had listed in the May 20th board resolution 1920-12, they never completed one for us apparently. So I've talked to them, gave them the information they needed to complete the 1920 developer case study. We're gonna do a public notice and for the March 17th board meeting, have another resolution. Looking at their preliminary report, it doesn't change the rates that, were in that resolution. It's still $4.08 for residential and 66 cents for commercial development, but just a minor P's and Q's and make sure that everything's in order in that front. I wanted to make sure we had a completed study that, if there were questions from the public or anybody, I can, have the report for them instead of, And then for the closing of the CSESAP, the Classified Summer Program, March 1st was the deadline for those enrollments. We had 110 eligible people are participating. I want to give a shout out to Joanna in the payroll office for helping me sort through the enrollments and answer employee questions on how the program's supposed to work and all of that, so that, it's first year of this, so classified employees, obviously have questions of if I give you money, what's going to happen to it, and all of that. So we're looking around just north of 200,000 in contributions from Southern Friends or the employee contribution. We'll find out in May what the state match for that will be. And that's it for me.
We didn't have any employees concerned that they didn't get a chance to enroll because they were working split shifts, correct? Or split weeks?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody's brought that to me.
Okay.
If they were.
Just want to make sure everybody gets a chance, because sometimes if you're not on campus, you're not going to get that chance. So just want to make sure everybody's taken care of. So you had?
Yep.
All right. Next up, Associate Superintendent Hargis.
Our enrollment for the 21-22 school year is going to open up on April 5th, which is the Monday that we come back from spring break. So we'll be enrolling TK students, kindergarten students, and then students that will be attending next year, new students. We will be having a diversity training tomorrow. It's called Beyond the Conversation of Race. So we have several site administrators and cabinet members, district office, that will be participating in that training. It is on the board agenda for approval this evening. I did have to send in the PO just a little bit early because otherwise they wouldn't enroll us to be able to attend, and it starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, this afternoon, so that we would be able to participate. Also, we have several curriculum adoption committees that are piloting. We have the elementary, which will be adopting both science and social studies to have new curriculum for next year. So they'll participate in 3 different pilots. So social studies will do 3, science will do 3, and then they will work with their students on those programs, the committee members, and then hopefully by the end of May they'll be able to bring a recommendation for curriculum. Tropico is doing social studies right now, and the high school is, their English department is working on that. And I believe their social studies department is also interested. We're just waiting for their committee to be assembled, and then we'll get that moving.
All right, thank you, Associate Superintendent Hargis. Next up is Superintendent Report. Superintendent Gaines, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Tanksley. First of all, I want to welcome everyone to this evening's meeting. And let's see, I want to talk about, I've been meeting this past couple of weeks with our site administrators individually, just to get a feel from them how the year is going thus far. I meet periodically with them, and also to make sure that they are ready for, especially the elementary principals and assistant principals, for the potential return to in-person instruction on March 22nd. I also wanted to let the board know that we had, last week was our first grading committee meeting. It went really well. The conversation and the questions and the dialogue and the chat was amazing to see. How enthused the teachers were, and how they felt that if ever there was a perfect time, to quote one of them, to be doing this work on grading, now was the time. So I really appreciated the 32 teachers and the site administrators and some of the administrators from the district office for Mr. O'Connor was very, very impressed with our team, to say that would provide all of our elementary teachers with 2 preps a week, including the PE teachers. So we're starting the work on those master schedules to make sure that it is equitable across the board, and that all teachers get their 2 prep periods beginning next year. And again, I just want to say to Captain Wallace that I'm just so very, very proud of the Cadet Corps, and they the students from Southern Kern do an outstanding job, and most importantly, they represent this community with dignity and honor, and I'm just very, very proud to see that. And so to continue on my next topic about, this is an informational item. We have been talking about returning to in-person instruction. I can't tell you how many, we've been talking about it all year. We started working on planning for this since last summer. And we have never really deviated from the ABD-AB model. At one time it was AB-ABD, but we decided to put the distance learning day on Wednesday. This is nothing new. So I want to just add that to make sure that the board is aware of that. The COVID health plan has been on the website. It says draft, and it will continue to say draft, because every week or two there's something being changed. First, for example, the K2 students were not required to wear masks. Now they are. So those kind of little updates are continually being added to the plan, but the plan has been on the Southern Kern website for a long time now. And so I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. Also, we met yesterday, Kern County Superintendents of Schools. The expectation, not only from the governor, but the legislature, is that we will open for our TK through 6th grade. Unfortunately for us, our 6th grade is not self-contained. It is at a middle school. So for us, we would be opening our TK, actually pre-K at one of the sites through 5th grade. This is something we talked about March 22nd, a couple of months ago. If you'll remember, we felt that if we pushed it out by March 22nd, it would be a time when probably Southern Kern would be out of the deep purple and close to returning to the red. And not only that, but that it would be a time when we would probably see more and more of our employees be able to be vaccinated, which has become a reality. Yesterday, we were given a graph that shows that we are now into light purple. And the prediction is that by Tuesday of next week, we could, as Kern County, return to the red. What does that mean? It clearly states on the graph that if we are able to return to the red at any given time, that we could open our secondary schools, our middle and high school. So I want you to be aware of that. At this moment, because we're not in the red, we will move forward with opening the two elementary sites. We are surveying, the site leaders are surveying their parents basically to say, do you want your children to return to in person, or do you need to stay on distance learning? And we need the children's names. That primarily is the information we need right now, and that we will not tolerate the moving back and forth for the remainder of this year. Once they make that selection, that's where their children will stay. So I just want to give the board that update, and to let you know that as I progress through the next couple of weeks, hopefully if everything improves as projected, that I will be bringing this back for board approval on the 17th of March to open March 22nd at RES and West Park. Are there any questions?
You know, when this all started, we took a little tour of the schools and we examined a little bit. I'd like to do that again. If the board members have time, and you could set up that again to see if there was any changes made that we noted. Make sure that, just double check and triple check that we're ready to do this. I'm excited about it. I can't wait. I asked if we could move it a little bit sooner to the 15th, but you gotta wait till the 22nd. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna work. It's about time that we get back to some sort of normal. I've talked to a lot of parents. I've talked to a lot of children. They're suffering. This is not working. It's not working. I don't care what anybody says. It's not working. So we've got to get in class. So I'm excited that we're getting ready to do it.
And Mr. Bender, I will schedule that visit again, the bus tour again for the board members to the site, so we can reassess as they know that the board wanted to revisit the sites. I also, and one last thing, Mr. Tanksley wanted to announce publicly this evening that football season has been canceled by the league. It was not canceled by Southern Kern or Rosamond High School, but the league informed us today that football season at the high school has been canceled. The good news is baseball and softball can begin conditioning very soon. Track and field will begin conditioning in the very near future as well. Thank you.
You got the girls softball going, or the girls soccer? Are they going yet? Or?
I don't know about the girls soccer, Mr. Bender. I will look into that for you.
Since Mr. Bender interjected, may I ask a question?
Sure.
So it's not working for any parent, any student, or any teacher?
I
Is that what you're
announced
saying?
for people to give me a survey, phone calls me. I've got a lot. I was surprised how many phone calls we got. That it is not working for teachers and students.
And how many teachers and?
I got about 75 phone
And
calls.
how many teachers, I'm sorry, can I finish my question?
Sure.
And how many teachers and how many families are in Rosamond?
Does it matter? To who?
And you just said you got about 75.
I got about 75.
So that's a majority?
No, it isn't.
Thank you.
But it convinces me. Jim, let me ask you a question. I got a phone, or some of the people called me, some teachers. There was a survey taken by you guys. There was a survey that you guys took.
and it didn't meet your requirements or what you expected. So you took it completely out of your meeting. You took it out of your minutes and everything. Is that true?
No, it is not.
It's on?
No, I put it on my.
It's not in the minutes.
No, I put the results on my meeting agenda.
Mr.
And I
Bender,
provided
Mr.
it to
Quellman.
the members of my RTA executive board. I did not take them out.
Let's
No,
let's
that is
continue.
not true.
Let's continue with the meeting, Mr. Quellman, Mr. Bender. Okay? There'll be a time to talk about this, not now. All right, thank you, Superintendent Gaines. Next up, board member communications. Trustee Moore.
To the public, I just want to make one thing clear. I have seen out there that all of a sudden, you guys think we're pushing for March 22nd because the governor, like Mr. Coleman said, has put out money and offered money if you go back by this time. But if you read the agenda from tonight, on December 9th, 2020, the Board of Trustees agreed to revisit the possibility to reopen schools in March of 21. So we already had this going before any kind of money was probably ever thought about. That's all I got for tonight. So,
Okay. Trustee Vincelette.
Thank you. I really appreciated the cadet presentation. I've known Captain Wallace for a long, long time. In fact, we used to officiate football together, so gives you an idea. I still have a lot of respect for Charlie, based on my workings with him. As far as the schools opening up, I haven't had phone calls, but the people I've talked to, it's a mixed bag, but it's more opening schools than it is any other methods of instruction. Again, as we see the surveys coming back from the parents, we should be able to get a better idea of where we're going to be and what they think. Everybody is doing their surveys or they're calling. It's not everybody. We don't know exactly. The only way we're going to find out is the survey. And please, everybody, answer the survey. It helps us as well as. And again, thank everybody who is on YouTube or watching in. Hopefully we can get this thing going and get our students back into the classroom as soon as possible, safely.
All right, thank you, Trustee Vincelette. Next up, Trustee Bender.
I'd like to thank everybody that's watching, and also Mr. Vincelette is correct. Let's get in there, and when the teachers send out the survey, let's fill them out. Let's get them in as soon as possible, because that shows us exactly what the parents want to do. And we're out here. I got elected to voice my opinion, do what I feel that's necessary. I believe in my heart that we need to open up these schools as soon as possible. I will be voting for it 100%. I would even vote for full open. But that's up to the governor and whatever we can do there. But thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
All right, thank you, Trustee Bender. Next up, and I would like to reiterate, surveys, please answer. It's just like voting. People don't answer to us. Right, Trustee Moore?
yeah, correct.
It made a difference. We need every vote counted. I fell into the trap of completing a survey once, and now the folks won't leave me alone because I was one of the few who did it. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a subsection of our community that consistently try to communicate and voice their concerns. We're not getting everybody as a whole. Okay, so the more information we have, the better decisions we can make for this community, and that's where it's key and vital. If we're hearing from the same people, the tides never change because people are staunch for and staunch for against. Okay, so we got to hear from as many people as possible. Cadet Corps, once again, awesome job going forward, and community, help us help you. Okay, Superintendent Gaines said we're marching towards the red. The only way we can march toward the red is if we continue to wash our hands, wear our masks, and don't invite people from outside of your house into your house. Okay? Is it tough? Yes. Is it terrible? Yes. There's families that I can't see because I don't want to risk them and I don't want them risking me. It's a hard decision, but it's a small piece of time, okay, in the grand scheme of things. But if you don't abide by it, it could be a shorter time, okay? It's imperative that we all take care of ourselves and understand what we have to do as a team and as a community, and that's what we have to do. We have to be a community right now. We've got to grasp the sight picture and march towards it and get it done. We get a lot of calls saying people don't know a plan. I don't know how many times we've said in the meeting, it is on the website for SKUSD. It's not hard to find, okay? Go out there and read it. We can't send it to everybody. We can't, it's a large document. Go out there and find it. We try to make it as easy as possible, okay? That's all I have for the moment. Next up, comments from the public, email only. No in-person guests at this time. Members of the public may address the board on any item within the jurisdiction of the board by submitting presentation request to the secretary. Members of the public are strongly urged not to mention personnel by name or reminded that they do not have immunity from legal action if personnel are named. The board may limit each speaker to 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. I would like to go on record. Last meeting, I made a mistake and I did mention a person by name. I apologize to that person. There was no ill will in that. Just understand reading many of these things, and a lot of times they don't make sense when you're reading them on the paper. It's really hard to distinguish and take out names when they're long letters and they don't flow well. Not an excuse. I dropped the ball on that, and I apologize publicly to that individual that's name was read. And I take full responsibility. All right. Our first message is from Princess Maria. Hello, Mrs. Gaines and fellow school board members. I have 5 children in SKUSD who are anxiously awaiting returning to school in the least restrictive environment as possible. I think it is counterproductive for students to return the week before spring break for 2 in-person learning days, then to be on distance learning for 3, and then spring break. It seems unfair to teachers who have worked so hard thus far to return in that manner. Thank you for your time, Maria Copeland. The next one is in regards to high school athletics, and it's from Angela Sanchez. Good morning, Sally, district staff, high school staff, and SKUSD board members. I'd like this email to be read at the upcoming school board meeting. For the public, I'm just deviating from this a little bit. For the public, ensure when you send these emails in that you tell us you want them read at the board, because a lot of times we get a lot of comments and we don't know. And sometimes if we read them, if we don't know when we read them, folks get upset. So simply put a comment like this individual did. I'd like this email to be read at the upcoming school board meeting. That makes it easier to decipher what wants to be shared and what does not want to be shared.
And that goes for everybody, parents, teachers, students.
Anybody that sends stuff into us. So now I'm going back to the letter, and I'd like to request that school sports be placed on the agenda for discussion. SKUSD board and SKUSD staff, I'm writing this email to advocate for our students to be able to participate in all CIF sports. Please refer to cifcs.org. Also attached in my email is PDF documents outlining the guidelines and modifications for all sports, as well as a 3-page document opening approved resume school play as of January 19th. These documents were gathered from the CIF site. If you are not aware, CIF has put out these protocols and guidelines in order to give the school guidance on how they should allow districts to resume play. As you may know or not know, Rosamond is already behind in allowing their students to resume play. Many surrounding communities at the high school level have already begun practices and are in the phases of outlining game schedules. I know that you have already had a lot on your plate in deciding whether or not to go to in-person instruction. However, school sports need to be made a priority as well. CIF, if you can read these documents, has already done most of the work and given us a clear cut as to what we can do. Please consider the start of RHS sports. Also consider the toll that many students have endured with this pandemic and the academic struggles that they have faced, as well as mental health struggles. School sports can be and has been for many students a motivating factor in many factors of their life. And motivation is exactly what the students need. Thank you, Angela Sanchez, RHS and TMS parent. The next one is communication for the school board. It's from Mr. Mark Notterman. Good afternoon, Ms. Sally. Could you please attach the following comments for public on this evening's agenda. Board of Trustees and Mrs. Gaines. I wear many hats for Southern Current: employee, coach, union rep, and probably the most important, parent. I never expect any special treatment. I just want to be treated like anybody else. That being said, I was more than a little bothered this afternoon when I went to the district office to turn in an interdistrict transfer form for my son. I went to the enrollment office and was greeted by an employee that I did not know, and it was apparent that the employee did not know me. This is fine. Not everyone is going to know each other. I stated that I need to turn in an interdistrict transfer form for my son due to a specialized program. The employee looked at my form, then looked at me and said, I need proof. I was surprised more at the accusatory tone than I was at the question, so I simply said, what do you mean proof? Like proof of the program? An employee came out of her office to clarify, as I went through a similar process with my daughter transferred to the same program. Before I stopped by the SKUSD office, I turned in similar paperwork to the AD Unified High School District office. That is the district that my son is transferring to. At ABUHSD, I, being a complete stranger, was greeted by a warm smile and spoken to with kindness and respect. Basically the opposite of how I was treated by my own district. As I said, I expect no preferential treatment by SKUSD. I just want to be treated like anybody else, and maybe I was treated like everyone else, which is concerning and the reason for my comments this evening. Obviously, my children are attending a different district because of the opportunities provided by another district. I am, however, glad that I will never have to be treated this way as a parent again. Next comment is from Lance Jordan. Hello, I would like to inquire why our district is not allowing students to practice for sports. Newsom began to allow practices to begin over a month ago, and many of our surrounding high schools have been practicing for quite some time. Yet our district students have been disallowed to practice. Not only have most sports not been allowed to practice, but those that have resumed are mainly boys' sports, while girls within the district are not getting equal opportunity to play. Furthermore, it has also come to my attention that wrestling will likely be cut because of the low numbers. However, in the past years, wrestling has relied heavily on recruiting during school hours, which has not been possible due to COVID-19. Wrestlers, such as my own son, have worked extremely hard over the past years. In fact, our wrestling program has done very well over the past few years, with wrestlers form our small school placing in the top 5 and above in CIF, as well as making it to Masters. I would be willing to volunteer my own time for free, as well as driving my son and others if needed to any possible matches if it meant wrestling was given the same chance as every other sport. Further, sports are an important part of the high school experience, and while many of our students have felt the stresses of the pandemic, sports have become an increasingly important factor for their mental health. I urge the district to reconsider their stance, which is not only ignore Newsom's position that sports may resume practicing, but also ignores the mental, social, and emotional needs of many students. They should be the top priority, and many student athletes are considering leaving the district because they feel their needs are being ignored. Thank you for your consideration, Lance Jordan. The next is a letter to be read at the board meeting from Ms. Diane Greenberg. Dear board members, I'm looking at the robust 28-page document on COVID protocols and procedures we must follow when our doors open. I must say things look good on paper. If we put into practice the guidelines agreed to, I know myself and many others feel safer at work. My concern is that the district often makes plans that are not followed through. I urge you as a board member to hold the district accountable to any and all plans that are agreed upon by the district and the two unions. To be a bit more certain, it would be nice if we can hold off bringing students on campus till every employee who wants a vaccine has been given both doses of the vaccine. I appreciate the efforts of an employee who has, through emails, updated employees on how to access the vaccine. Her efforts were further helped along by other employees chiming in with updates on how to get the vaccine. As a union representative for the high school, I had a few questions, a few employees who were concerned about the quarantine protocols. The fear is that if we follow the guidelines, we could have to quarantine for up to 10 days at a time. We only get 10 sick days a year. Many employees do not have days banked and cannot afford time off to quarantine if they are directed to do so. I know the district did not cause this problem, but I agree with my colleagues that we shouldn't have to lose our sick leave due to exposure to COVID. I feel if we are exposed to COVID at work, the district should cover the days we are out and should not come out of our sick leave. Thank you for your time. Mrs. Diane Greenberg, RHS teacher. Michelle Kirk, as a concerned parent of a Rosamond High School senior and RHS graduate myself, I'm wondering what the plans are for getting students back on campus. This is the senior's final year of high school, and they have looked forward to this year for a long time. As underclassmen, they watched their older siblings participate in high school activities and anticipated celebrating their senior year the same way. I am wondering when senior class activities will be able to start. Are there any plans for a prom, homecoming, powder puff game, senior trip, graduation, or grad night celebration? All of these activities could be held outside. I'm also wondering when volleyball, softball, and baseball will be able to start practicing. Have any coaches been hired for these sports? This is not only a disappointment for our students, but also heartbreaking for their parents and grandparents who have also anticipated watching these activities and celebrations with their children. Please read this during public comments on March 3rd. Thank you, Michelle. The next is from a concerned senior parent, Mark Padilla. Dear Mrs. Gaines, as a parent of a senior at Rosamond High School this year, I am concerned about the lack of anything resembling a normal senior year. Not only did they lose out on last year's junior prom and spring sports, they have also lost out everything so far this year and haven't given up hope that there will be anything for them going forward. This breaks my heart. The senior year is the year everyone looks forward to. They watch their older siblings and friends know exactly what they are missing out on. Can we please get answers as to what activities and sports can be expected for the rest of this school year? Signed, Christy Padilla. Trustee Moore, can you read yours? Thank you.
To the SKSD board, it is agreed that students need to be back in the classroom, and it is also agreed that the return should be safe. The CDC states that it is safe, especially if teachers are not vaccinated, only if the safety protocols are in place: 6 feet apart, masking, washing hands, and proper ventilation, especially if your county tier is in purple. The reality is, students will not stay 6 feet apart, especially at the higher grade levels where we can't keep track of them as easily as elementary students, and even the younger ones are not going to stand across the room from their friends and interact. They are children. The older students will want to hang out with their friends during lunch break and are much harder to manage. Do we really believe they will keep their masks on when not in the class? Can we trust them to keep their hands washed? What if they want to go to the bathroom? Do they need an escort so they don't meet their friends in the bathroom? Will they wash their hands before returning to class? Will they stay 6 feet apart during passing period or dive into a corner with a friend on the way? Those of us who will deal with students and their predictable behaviors do not believe this will be easy to manage. In terms of ventilation, our windows do not open. We are supposed to keep our doors locked for safety. How will this issue be addressed? Nothing has been communicated to staff about this. Is there plexiglass provided on the teachers' desks? The answer is no. The news has announced the increase of vaccine production and more availability by summer. This will give most people the opportunity to be vaccinated. Right now, it is difficult to get an appointment. Starting students back March 22nd is 4 days before spring break. There will be a mass confusion among students the first few days, making it difficult to get organized and have any meaningful instructions during that week. Then they will leave for a week break, and we will have to start it all over. In addition, during spring break, families will gather and travel. Isn't it reasonable to expect another surge? I believe that it is safer for everyone to not let social pressure rush in-person instruction and keep school on distance learning for the remainder of the school year, 3 months, thereby allowing those who want to be vaccinated to have more opportunity before school transitions to in-person instruction for the new school year. By the start of the new school year, there is a greater possibility of cases going down even further. The district's ability to prepare better and more peace of mind for all a fresh start. RHS teacher.
All right, next up is from Kayla Brewer, board meeting statement. Dear members of the board, I'm excited about the idea of returning to school. However, I'm really struggling with some of the plans for the return. I've been with my students every school day since the first day of school. Each week I spend about 250 minutes with them on Zoom. During this time I teach them, I hear about their lives, I learn about their families, I hear what's important to them. I look for signs when students need a break, I look for when students need a smile. I talk to them about how things are going with distance learning and how I can help them more. It has not been an ideal year, but we have worked hard to set a routine, and my kids know the routine and know the expectations. I have 25 students that have spent hours on Zoom with me and called me their teacher. Hearing that my class will be split apart for families that choose distance learning for 8.5 weeks breaks my heart. We have all created a bond, and I don't see how it will be socially or emotionally beneficial for them to start with a new teacher. Signed, Kayla Brewer. Next one is from Ms. Kimberly Schmidt. Good evening. I'm a teacher in the district. I would love nothing more than to be back in person teaching, but at this time, I did not think it was safe. Here are my concerns. We cannot come to a board meeting, but you want to put students in front of us. I cannot eat in a restaurant with my friends, but you want to put students in front of me. Right now, I'm teaching in parentheses, my students 5 days a week. If we can come back, I will only be meeting with my students 2 to 3 days a week. This is going to impact their education. As it stands now, they're going to break up my class to have a distance learning class. I feel this is not beneficial to the students. Thank you very much for your time. Kimberly Smith. Ms. Sally, do we have any other comments from the community? Okay. I'd like to thank everybody from the community and staff members that did send in comments. Like I said, we do take all these in, and everybody comments do go into our decision-making process. Next up is item 6, consent items A through L, and this is for action. Trustees, do we have any questions on items A through L?
I don't.
Okay.
Move to accept.
Vincelette, motion.
Second by Moore.
Second by Moore. All those in favor? Aye. It's 4 yeas and 1 absent. Next up is general. It's a second review reading of approval of board policies listed. Presentation by Superintendent Gaines, and this is for action.
Yes, sir. This is a return of the board policies that you saw at the last board meeting. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer this. Again, AR 1312.3, the reason that is option 1 is it allows the UCP procedures. In our case, it's Mrs. Hargis, 60 days to address and to thoroughly investigate the UCP before giving a response back to the complainant. And it also does not, her word would be the final judgment on that UCP. It does not, in this case, come to the board. So that is that. And so the rest of them, I think, are pretty self-explanatory. Just talks about the credits that are needed and board. The bottom is regular board meetings, special board meetings, emergency board meetings, adjourn, continued board meetings. These are the different types of board meetings that are considered as meetings and notices.
Any questions on any of the board policies presented? All right, can I get a motion? Motion, Vincelette. Second by Tanksley. All those in favor? Aye. 4 ayes, 1 absent. Next up, business operations. Item A, approve the 4 selected proposals for E-Rate Simple Equipment RFP, C-High Computer Products, Inc., Borderland, Inc., Digicom, and SHI. This is for action, and Mr. Wexler will be presenting.
So this is the E-Rate RFP that we presented to the board previously for approval. We've received bids on each of the 4 sections, and in each case but one we selected. It's a simple equipment bid, so they're just providing us with equipment. They're not doing any installation. So for the switches and the firewall and the uninterruptible power supplies, we went with the lowest bid. For the wireless access points, there were 2 bids. One was for a different vendor. We have a Ruckus wireless network, and we got 2 bids. One was for Ruckus wireless access points. The other bid was for a different company's wireless access points. It costs more, but we want Ruckus wireless access points on our Ruckus wireless network, so that's why we chose the more expensive bid. And these 4 pieces of network equipment will support our upgrade to a 10 gigabit per second network. The cost, E-Rate covers 85% of the cost of this equipment, except for the case of the firewall, where E-Rate covers 51%, because approximately half the cost is the service contract, and E-Rate doesn't cover the service contract.
Okay. Who's doing the installation? You and your crew?
Yes.
Okay, how long will it take your crew to do the installation?
It'll be a summer project.
Summer project?
Yeah.
Is it crazy expensive for the organizations or the contractors to do the installation?
No, it's something.
Because I know you do a lot of other things in the summer.
Yeah.
Like image every computer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With a shrinking staff or a 3 to 4 person staff.
Yeah, it's par for the course for us.
Okay.
And it's none of it. It's not a complex putting in power supplies or hanging access points. So the firewall will be a little bit more complex, and that'll require a couple of days of training for us. But the switches, Sean and Ken are real good with switches, so it makes more sense for us to do it ourselves.
I just find sometimes we try to buy people internally, but it really doesn't cost that much for installing to do it. And we know it's done anytime on using our contract stuff. That's how this one you are doing.
We have another RFP that we're getting bids for, and that's the cabling project for RES that we don't do ourselves.
Okay.
And you said uninterruptible power supply.
Yeah.
Meaning, if the power goes out, they're still gonna be able to use this
for 30 minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Yeah, it allows. So yeah, it's like a surge protector.
Okay.
So it's a barrier between the electricity and the equipment, so that if there is a surge, the equipment is protected. If the power goes down, the equipment stays up for up to 30 minutes. And if it's like a longer term blackout, it gives us a chance to go and shut down the equipment gracefully without a hard shutdown. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Any other questions for Mr. Wetzel? All right, this is for action. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion, we approve it.
All right, motion seconded. Vincelette second. All those in favor?
Aye.
4, and 1 absent. Next up is item 9, personnel actions. Approve the following list of personnel actions. Superintendent Gaines, the floor is yours, and this is for action.
Yes, sir. As you can see this evening, board, we have some transfers, we have retiring employee, we have some new hires, and we also have some resignations for your consideration this evening. So, pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. Any questions from the trustees on any of these actions?
Our Cadet Corps, he resigned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We got anybody out looking?
I believe the area coordinator, Captain Cahill. I don't know if he's local, but it sounds like he's going to apply for the job.
Yeah, from Toronto area, I think is. Okay. That don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I'm hearing he's going to apply for the job. I think it was in our HR notes on Fridays. So this is for action. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve personnel item.
All right. Mr. Moore, second.
I'll second.
Vincelette, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 1 absent. 4 yeas. And the last item is adjournment. This is action. So moved. Vincelette. Second. Tanksley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4 ayes and 1 absent.